This is Mark Guerrero. Welcome to East LA Music Stories. My guest is Bertha Oropeza, who has sung with Frankie Cannibal Garcia. She was in a group called Eastside Connection that made an album produced by Eddie Davis. It did very well in the United States, but it was later released in Japan, did very well. She's been in the group Chico for like 38 years and counting. And she was in the movie Zoot Suit. I didn't know this till earlier today. My dad's music, a lot of it was in that play, and she was in the movie. She's done a lot of great things. She was on an album with Juan Gabriel, so there's lots of great stuff to talk about. So welcome, Bertha. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Well, thank you for doing it. You're sitting in, where are you, in Whittier right now?
I'm in Whittier right now, house sitting and fur babysitting.
But you live at the moment in Hesperia.
In the moment in Hesperia.
But you will soon be moving back to Whittier, right?
I will be moving, I'm hoping, no later than January of this year, back or into Whittier. I've never lived in Whittier. I've always like East LA, La Puente. So this will be nice.
So you're back with your homies and, back to
Back with
civilization.
my homies, a family, able to be commuting close by with good restaurants, good food. I'll just get fatter.
Yeah, great, great, great. So, I just gave a lot of you credits, but let's talk about how did you first discover that you could sing and that you were interested in music?
Well, that really goes back. That goes back to my mom. My mom always wanted to sing, and my mom could sing.
Mm,
But in those days, my grandparents would not let her sing. My great uncle was a musician, and they had a group in Chihuahua, and they would go on the radio station. And so my uncle knew that my mom could sing, and he would always want her to go with them to the radio station to sing and to whatever gigs they had. But my grandparents were like, absolutely not. Women don't do that, not that kind of woman, blah, blah, blah. We always have a bad rap,
right.
you know. So she wasn't allowed to, even though in her heart she really, really wanted to do music. So the next thing, of course, she got into was she wanted to be a pharmacist. She loved medicine. They couldn't afford to do medicine, so then she ended up being like a stenographer.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it started with my mom.
Well, this doesn't surprise me only because you're such a great singer that usually it comes somewhere from somewhere in the family somewhere. It just doesn't come out of nowhere. Usually doesn't come out of nowhere. And so it doesn't surprise me. I kind of suspected
Thank
something
you.
like that.
Thank you.
And I should have said this in the intro that you're one of the best singers to ever come out of East LA, male or female,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
without question. So I knew it had to come from somewhere in the DNA as well. And that happened to a lot of people of your mom's generation. They weren't allowed to go out and be a singer and stuff like that. Strict parents, Catholic stuff, and
Yes.
all that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
So when we were, I'm gonna say, I mean, 3, 4, she started just telling us to harmonize with her. Don't ask me how we knew, but my brother, myself, she would say, tú a la primera, tú a la segunda. Okay.
Did you
We would
speak
just,
English too?
she spoke English, but she would make us speak Spanish at home.
That was her first language,
That was
obviously.
first language.
Was she born in Mexico?
She was born in El Paso, but they were raised in Chihuahua. And then after my mom, they got married and they came back to the United States to live. But so again, I don't know how we knew, but my mom would just tell us to do a harmony. So we would. And we were in the right notes. How did we know? I have no clue.
Now, where were you living at that time?
In East LA.
What area do you know?
Right? I don't know. Most people know where Tepeyac is
Yes.
on
Right,
Evergreen,
Evergreen.
right? A block and a half from there. When we would go to church, we would go to see what the priest was wearing, and we'd go across the street to Tepeyac. And we'd be in Tepeyac and we'd go home and my mom, of course, would know what the priest was wearing. So what was he wearing? Oh, he was wearing the purple thing. Oh, okay. Oh, we were terrible.
Now we should mention that Tepeyac is such a legendary Mexican restaurant that it got so popular that people were coming from Hollywood and from the West Side and you know, in their Mercedes and stuff were coming into the barrio to eat there.
Yes. And to my knowledge, it hasn't changed. It's still pretty packed. I mean, for years and years and years, even though, Manuel has passed away and his family took over, but I still love their huevo rancheros.
And now they have another one in City of Industry.
Yes. Now that City of Industry, they just started, or I don't think I think they've been doing music now for a little bit in their
Jerry
patio
was
area.
singing there. Jerry was singing there.
Yes. Yes. Jerry was singing there with Bobby Rodriguez. It was nice. It was really nice. I thought it was perfect.
So when you were a kid and you started listening to the radio and hearing records, who are your favorite artists and who inspired you as vocalist?
So again, because of my mom always loving music, initially, of course, I was exposed to Edie Gourmet, and all her music, all Spanish stuff, of course. And then later on, and your dad, I mean, because my mom was like, loved your dad's music.
Mm.
And later on, of course, on my own, then I really enjoyed Judy Garland.
Great singer. Wow.
Especially when I saw, of course, The Wizard of Oz, and she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I thought, oh my gosh, how beautiful. I want to sing like that one day, So that's kind of where I kind of started to really, I said, really kind of looking at women that were singing at that time. And then, of course, then I started to hear of Sarah Vaughan, Nancy Wilson, and later on Chaka Khan, and, on from there, Tina Marie.
What about Aretha?
Oh, absolutely. Here's Aretha right here.
Oh, there you go.
So all these women, and a lot of the R&B, Gladys Knight, and then I started getting a little bit into some of the Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae.
Ella.
So, Ella for sure. So all these different women, different styles, obviously. And, I just started really loving it. And then since we didn't have any musical education, that was my education. And of course, I'd be listening to it and I think most everybody, you listen to it and you try to mimic it, repeat it, learn the riff and, try to make it better or just try to get it, period, So yeah, it was fun. My mom also, she knew I was really getting into music. And so she very wisely, I think, informed me. She goes, not that I don't want you to be in music. She goes, but what if you can't sing? She goes, what are you going to do? And I kind of thought about that and I thought, what would I do if I couldn't sing? So I always wanted, at that time, I was like, I'm going to be an attorney. No, I'm going to be a doctor. No, I'm going to be an attorney. No, I'm going to be. So I was kind of floating in between those. I couldn't really decide which one I really wanted. So then I was like, now, do I really want to go to medical school if I don't like it? And I thought, well, I'll go into nursing and see what it is just to kind of, get into the medical field, but kind of a little bit, not really, the whole MD thing. So, once I got in, I was like, you know what, I really like this, but I want to do more. So, I went ahead and I did everything accelerated. I couldn't do anything long-term. I had to get things done. So I did the accelerated programs for RN, BSN, and then I went on to get my nurse practitioner.
How old were you? How old were you when you did all that?
Let me see. I got out of high school. I was in college. I did my prereqs. So I was in my 20s.
Okay, but now we're getting way ahead of the timeline. We got to go way back again. Okay, so you had that profession too, which is wonderful. But getting to the musical thing, so we were speaking earlier, and you told me that you were in a band called the Admirations, which was the first band you were in, and you were only 11.
Yes.
Talk about that.
So, like, I think quite a few families, my mom was the only provider. My dad was out of the picture. So we were latchkey kids. And being latchkey kids, I had to always be with one of my brothers. So it was myself and my two siblings. And my middle brother, Berto, was the one that actually started to get into music. He was a keyboard player and a vocalist. So I had to be with one of my brothers all the times. I could not be left alone. So I had to tag along with him to rehearsals. So when we were at the rehearsals, at his rehearsals, I was sitting because they would practice in this how like a back house that they would close up so there wouldn't be so much noise. But I would sit on the porch, and so when they were playing, I don't know what song they were playing, but I was in the porch wailing, because they couldn't hear me. And one of the band members had come out and walked around the house, and when I was singing while they were playing, he goes, "You can sing," and I was like, "No, no, I can't sing," because I figured my brother was going to kill me. So he dragged me into the house and he goes, "She can sing." And my brother looks at me like, so I told him, "I'm sorry." They go, "Okay, let's hear you sing." So the manager was the one that was one of the guy's dads was the manager for the band. So like I told you, we were all like, Max was 15. They got me in the band. So at that point I was in the band.
And so you started doing gigs at 11?
Yeah.
What kind of gigs were you doing?
Oh, we would go, we would sometimes play in bars.
Wow.
Yeah, but they would throw us out in the back somewhere where they couldn't say how old we were. Yeah, we would play, like weddings, bars, and then we played, like I said, the Hollywood Palladium thing.
Let's talk about that. So that band played at the Teenage Fair at the Hollywood Palladium, which was a big deal. And you guys actually won the
Yes, at the Battle of the
Bands?
Bands, because they had all the Battle of the Bands in. So, like I said, we had a big band. It was like 13 pieces. We had a four-piece horn section, and then, the whole rhythm section. I was the primary lead singer. Like I said, sometimes we would back up groups. And one of the groups that we backed up was, I can't recall their name, but it was like Willie Madragan, Willie McCall, and somebody else. Maybe it was Eddie Serrano. It could have been Eddie Serrano. But anyway, so we backed them up they were the vocal group, and then the band would back them up. So that's how kind of I met Willie when he was, I think he was 15 at that time.
So Willie Mandragon wound up having two children that became great singers.
Exactly.
Eric and Bill Mandragon?
Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
Who sang with Tierra and who now sings with Down with Three. Both of them sing with Down with Three.
Yes.
Yeah, great singers. And Eddie Serrano later was in the Enchantments, Cannibal and the Headhunters, Yaki, all those people.
Yaki, yeah. Yeah.
So the age range of the Admirations where you were 11 and the oldest other member was what, 15 or 16?
At the most, yeah. To my recollection, there was no one over 16 in that band.
It's amazing that you guys won so young.
Yeah. We won in the horn players, everybody was youngsters.
Nice. Wow. And what kind of material were you doing? Was it all R&B? What kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
it was all R&B.
Was that always your first choice of genre?
Yeah, it was always R&B funk. I always liked that, because I don't know why. I just did. I always liked that. I always loved Barbra Streisand stuff too. I love the old, like that style, so I was always interested in being able to sing a variety of styles, because I thought that gives you, just vocally, gives you not control, but it stretches your vocal.
But you also could sing in Spanish too.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was my first language. And that's what I
Hmm.
first sang, all
So
Spanish.
did you sing like rancheras and stuff like
Oh,
that?
rancheras, cumbias,
Boleros.
boleros for sure. Boleros for sure, because that was what my mom like with the trio Los Panchos,
You're back to that 80 gourmet with three Los
Edie
Panchos.
Gourmet, Los Dandies, all that stuff. All that stuff was what we would sing, and we would sing at home. And parties at home, my mom and my dad, they would get like a little trio, and everybody would sing because my dad also sang.
So when we talked earlier, you're saying that that group lasted about 2.5 years.
Yeah, because I recall I was around 13, almost 14 when I got out of the band, and I explained to you that I
Oh, you
got
were
really
mentioning you
disillusioned.
yeah, you were mentioning that you guys made a record and you kind of got screwed over. Explain that.
Yeah, that what happens, again, we're youngsters. We don't know anything about the music business. And when we had won the teenage fair, the Battle of the Bands, they had given us like a promoter, and we had gotten a recording contract. And so the guys had written songs and stuff, and they had told us to give them our music and they would copyright it for us. Well, we don't know
Mhm.
what
Of course, they
copyrights
would.
are. We don't know anything. We're like, oh, okay, here. And we give them, whatever we had. And of course, they took it and they put their names on it, everything like they wrote the songs. And I remember, um, I don't, I don't think that the band wrote this particular song, but in the album or the songs that we were learning to record, Barbara Streisand had recorded one of the songs. So I was like, I turned around, like looking at the guys, like, isn't that her stuff? Isn't that what we recorded and stuff? So it was kind of depressing, deflating to know that that's the way the business was run, or knowledgeable enough to know better.
And when the record came out, it didn't have the Admiration's name on it either.
No, the whole record, what ended up happening is we went in there, we recorded all the songs, and then after we recorded all the songs, then we kind of like got kicked out,
And then somebody else re-recorded them.
dismissed them. Yeah, dismissed. And then somebody else went in there and re-recorded it, re-recorded everything, all the vocals, I
Isn't that
mean, everything.
lovely? What the record business does, even to children, you know.
Yes, even to children. So I got so disillusioned, that I was like, you know what? I'm out. So for a few years, I mean, so I was 13. So until I went to college, I didn't actually get into a real band. I was kind of I would get called. I would go do, somebody say, oh, come do a wedding, sing for us. Okay. And of course, what would I sing? The Mexican national anthem.
So what I mean?
Sabor a mí. So I would go to these weddings, I'd do that. And then that was it. Or I'd go to another place and do one other tune. So that's just the way I was. It was like, I didn't want to get in a band because I was like, what for? They're just going to steal all your stuff. We don't know how to do that stuff. They're going to steal it. In our neighborhood, there was, I think, a band in every corner.
Of course.
Um, we were up the street. We were the Love Affair. Across the other block was Cold Up. And the other block was Accounts.
Hmm.
Los Lobos were well, they weren't the Los Lobos, but they were like over towards Belvedere. I mean, it was like everybody had their little groups in all these different little places. So that's kind of where I started kind of getting back in, but not in a band. I would just kind of go and see who's playing, and maybe I'd sing a song with them, and then go on to something else. So it was always kind of like everybody was mixing members. And so none of the groups really lasted a long time. They would last 3 months, 4 months, and then they break up and then combine members, and then put another group together, and then recombine members and put another group together. So that was kind of during that time, during the junior high school era. That's kind of more or less what I was doing.
So the next band was at Barrio Express, and
Yeah,
you had gone to
so
East LA College.
correct. When I was in high school, I was kind of kicked over to East LA College. And while I was in East LA College, I had run into Eddie Hernandez, drummer, and he knew from, me being, kind of jumping around all these different groups. He was just telling me, why don't you just get in a band, get back into really singing? And, at this point I was kind of like, okay, maybe, but I was still kind of on that disillusion when I was 13. I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. So they had a group, or they formed a group called Barrio Express. And this was a really, really good, it was kind of a Latin jazz group. Um, and it was great. But again, the same thing happened. It was like we were together 4 months, maybe we did 2 gigs, 3 gigs, and the whole thing fell apart. So,
You might want to clarify when you said you got kicked into East LA College. You didn't really get kicked out of high school. You were actually kind of ahead.
I was ahead. Yes. I had I had completed all my credits, and so I was asked to leave to continue my education
Elsewhere.
elsewhere so that I would not cause problems in school. Because I was the high school president, and we have to do all these fundraisers, and so I was always trying to figure out a way to organize all our groups. And lucky for me, I was very good at it, so I would end up having a lot of people come to our functions, to the point that in high school you do things that you figure those are part of the growing thing. So we had called a ditch day for seniors.
Did you organize that?
I organized that.
Oh, no wonder they
for
kicked you out.
for seniors. It was supposed to be for seniors.
Okay.
And we went to Elysian Park, and I just about wanted to pass out when I got to the park, when I saw it was not just the seniors, but almost the whole school.
Oh.
The vice principal showed up. I mean, it was like
Did
crazy.
you get in trouble specifically?
I did, sort of, but not really, because I was such a diplomatic politician at that time. So, they as soon as we got, everybody that was out that day had gotten a truant because they figured they were at the park. So when I walked in, I couldn't even get down the hall, and the principal opened the door, yelled at me, "Get in here!" So they had all the class presidents in the office with the principal because everybody was out. And I told him, I said, "Look, I take responsibility for mine." I go, "But I didn't tell them to leave. They wanted to come. So I can't take responsibility for the 10th graders and 11th graders. So mine, yes." So they let me go.
Wow.
I mean, we still got a truant,
Wow.
and again, because I was like done with school pretty much, I was always just trying to figure out, okay, let's do a car wash. Okay, let's do a ditch day. Okay, let's do a tamale sale.
No wonder they asked you to move on.
Yes. So they're like, no, go to East LA College and go do something, that's going to be beneficial to you. So, and again, it was good because I started then really seriously thinking about, like future. And I had mentioned that my mom had wisely informed me, like, what would you do if you can't sing? So at that point is when I started thinking, yeah, what am I going to do if I really can't sing? What would I do?
So that led to the nursing thing, right?
So that led to the nursing and medical field. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so next talking point here is the time you worked with Frankie Cannibal Garcia in the mid 70s.
Right.
Talk about that.
So that was a fun group. I just loved that group because I've always loved working with other vocalists, and these particular vocalists were great because we could all harmonize. There was, they knew their harmonies. They knew, like, if we switched notes, we knew somebody would take the other note and just fall into it. It was so much fun because it was like we couldn't make a mistake in our harmonies. it didn't matter if somebody took somebody else's note. We were able just to jump in there and get it. And and then we would look at each other because we knew we did that, and we would look at each other and just nod, and everybody would go back to their notes.
So mention who those singers were.
So we had Dee Dee Scorzo. We had Chuck. I can't remember Chucky's last name. Frankie, and then I think we had Eddie Serrano with us. So at times it was Eddie, at times it was Chuck, but it was two females and two males. And it was just so much fun. And Frankie was, I mean, I thought it was good. He was good business, because he would say, whatever problems you have at home, you don't bring them to rehearsal or the gig. He goes, this is business. He goes, so when you do stage, and you leave all that behind. He goes, you have whatever issues with it. You guys, if you're dating, you leave it. You're not dating. You're here, and this is business. So, it was good because I thought,
Yes.
he's right. Because unfortunately, some people do bring their things to gigs, and that doesn't look good.
No, no. So you mainly played at the Mardi Gras downtown.
The Mardi Gras, yes, down across from MacArthur Park, and that venue was very interesting because it was like a basement and full of smoke. I can contribute. If you saw one of those movies where those beatniks, like a beatnik type, where it's all smoky and dark, and that's exactly the way it was. And it would take a little while to get acclimated to the air because there was so much smoke. And if you don't smoke like myself, you'd have to breathe in and get used to breathing the smoke and start coughing and everything until you kind of like, okay, now I can sing, because it was hard. It was hard. I would really be choking on that smoke. It was so bad.
I went there at least once or twice, but a lot of my friends were playing in the backup band, and we were discussing that earlier on the phone. But you were trying to remember who the band guys were.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Seville was the keyboard
Jimmy
player.
Seville, and then I
Yeah.
mentioned Tony Duran.
Tony Duran was a guitar player. Tony Duran's a guitar player.
Now, the people that I remember, you didn't necessarily play with them, but like I said, I think my friend John Valenzuela played guitar sometimes with them. My drummer, Ernie Hernandez, played for a little while. Robert Zapata played a lot there on drums. And Steve Roybal played drums a little bit.
mhm.
And so all those people, they called themselves Shaky Bone for a while, Eddie
Okay.
Serrano. But you didn't necessarily play with all those guys, but maybe some of them, whatever era you were playing with them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I wish I could remember so many musicians that, I'm privileged to have worked with, because great musicians. And like I said, a lot of times, all these switching of members and making new bands, and that was like happening a lot.
Yeah, people coming and going. We might mention Tony Duran was a great guitar player and sax player. In the 60s, he played for a while with the Premiers. In the 70s, early 70s, he was with Ruben Guevara's group, and they made a couple of albums. So he was an excellent musician. So all the people in that band were really, really good.
Yes, yes, they were very good. And still, still they're just like the rest of us, still hanging in there, still doing it.
Yeah, Tony passed a few years ago, but most of them are still around. So would you like to say anything else about that period, or do you want to move on?
Let me see. So that was, again, like for me, that was a great, great time, with all those people, all those guys, and especially like our vocal group. I loved it.
Okay.
So after that is when I did end up going with, the next band I got into was Eastside Connection.
Yes.
And that's where I got in the band, and then later I kind of brought Dee Dee with me. And that's where Dee Dee met Harry, and they got married.
Mm. Harry scores,
But
right?
yeah, Scorzo. And Harry's an incredible, musician, writer, all that. So
And of course,
that
Hector Gonzalez, was he the leader?
Hector was the leader. He was the bass player. We had Sal from War, Sal Rodriguez on drums.
Mm-hmm.
We had Dick Mitchell on sax. We sometimes had Albert Wing on sax. We had
Hector's wife,
bass.
Lava.
Lava, Hector's wife, at that time.
Did you guys sing together, or was it usually one or the other?
She would come in and she wouldn't really sing in the band, but when we did our album, she did some like voiceovers into the album. She was very creative too. And then later on, after we had Eastside Connection had dismantled, I believe Hector and Alex and Lava much later had formed a group.
Alex was his son, Hector's
Alex
son.
was his son. At that time when we were together, Alex was only
1 year old.
1 year old.
And he became
Yeah.
a drummer.
Yes, an excellent drummer to my understanding.
Yeah. So the album you guys made was produced by Eddie Davis, who famously, produced Cannibal the Headhunters and all the premieres. I mean, he was involved. He had record labels that released so many East LA bands. And he also worked on the Village Callers album. So
Yeah.
he was your producer, and that's how you made that album. And then eventually it was re-released in Japan by Shin Miyata on his label. And so the album did well in the United States and in Japan, right?
Yes, it did. Hector was always trying to, promote the band or promote the music. And I'm sure it was not an easy thing to do. And, sometimes with all the stress, people get moody.
Mm-hmm. I've heard.
I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the material like? What was the genre of the music and who wrote it? Was it cover tunes too?
At that time, it was originals, most of them from Harry, and it was during the disco era, so it was a lot
Mm.
of disco type music, and it was great because everybody was dancing to it. In fact, we had performed in Wilshire. There was a club in Wilshire, over in that Wilshire district where near UCLA. And the funny thing is, sometimes when we play, and I'm sure you've run across the same thing where when you're there and people are saying, "We want you to play it like the record," right? So it was just kind of funny that we were playing at this club and they were playing our music in the disco, which was one floor down, and we were playing live upstairs. And we were playing the same song, and somebody came up there and said, "Hey, can you guys play it like the record?" And we looked at each other like, "What do you mean play it? We are playing it like the record. We wrote it. We know." So it was just hilarious because we'd sit there and think sometimes like, are people for real? But it is what it is. So I recall that particular night, because of that, I had written a song and I gave it to Hector, and we were good. Did we record or didn't we record it? I think we had started to record it and I don't know what happened, but it was just because of that particular incident that I ended up writing this particular song, and we would kind of laugh about it. But
Do you remember the title of it?
are you too sophisticated?
Wow. Don't be too sophisticated.
Yeah.
Was it an R&B type thing or what? Or disco?
Yeah, it was kind of an R&B, disco-ish type song.
So this must have been what, late 70s, early 80s period?
Yeah, late 70s.
And how long
Well,
did
let me see. Yeah, late 70s, because it was like, it had to be 75, 77. Interesting. At that time when I was with Eastside Connection, again, going back to making a decision to go into the medical field, I was in school full time, and I would go to the gigs after the school to pay for me to go to school. And in between, we were at this one particular gig that we had gotten. We were the dance band. They had two bands. One was the dance band and one was a show band. So in between the show band, I had brought my books with me and I'd be sitting in the back, put my earplugs in and I'd be studying. And the guys would go, "You're crazy." I said, "Hey, I got to do what I got to do." And then they would help me study. So they would, they would bring out this, "Okay, what is this?" So it was a very interesting time.
That's youth for you because I can
Oh
relate.
yeah, because I would sleep 2 hours, it'd be
Yeah,
amazing. Like
I can
you
relate
could
to
go
that.
without sleep and still manage.
I can relate to that because I had graduated from East LA College in '69, and then for 6 years, I was just playing gigs and stuff. Then I went back to school at Cal State 6 years later, and I was going full time. I got a degree in Chicano studies, but I was going full time, and I was gigging 5 nights a week.
Yeah,
So that's what amazes me. I'd go to school like from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and then I'd go to the gig. I'd have to drive to Hawthorne or something, and then play till 1:30 in the morning. Get home at 2:30 or 3. Get up again 8 o'clock. Go to school.
exactly. That 2 hours
I
sleep.
could never do that now. Yeah,
Oh,
two,
you
three
ain't
hours
kidding. I know
sleep. I'd go to
you
the
look back,
gym. You know,
you look back and you think, how the heck did I do that? But youth, man,
you
it's
can do
good to be
everything.
young and be able to do that because you just can keep going, keep
I'd
going.
go to the gym. I'd go to the Hollywood Y twice a week during that time, and I was doing a boxing class. So I was doing the 5-nighter full-time thing and going to boxing and sleeping 2, 3, 4 hours and no problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Now I better
amazing
get a
what your
nap.
body will do and determination, right?
Yeah. But now, hell, if I have a gig that night, I want to just relax all day, take a nap,
Yes,
you know.
exactly. I tell Joe, "Hey Joe, I can only handle like 2 gigs a month now. That's it."
But we're still doing it.
But we're still doing it. We're
That's
still
right.
doing it.
Mhm. The next thing was a big thing, and I didn't know till we talked earlier this morning that you were in the movie Zoot Suit. Now, as you know, my dad wrote most of the songs that were in that play and movie. So tell me about how you got in that and what happened.
So I got a call from Rudy and Steve from Guerra,
Solace.
Salas Brothers. They called me up and they told me, "Hey, they're doing auditions for this movie." And I thought, "What movie?" He goes, "Well, you got to go. It's a movie called Zoot Suit." And I'm like, "Well, I've never done anything like that." They go, "All you have to do is go over there and go sing like a regular." I go, "Really?" And like, "Yeah." So, they called me, and then another friend. So I got a call from Steve and Rudy, and I got a call from Willie Marin, another person. Same thing. They were telling me, "Hey, they're doing there's auditions over there," and so I go, "Well, but what do you do?" And he goes, "You just got to go get headshots." I thought, "What are headshots?" you know. So of course now I had to go and find a photographer and get headshots. I thought, what was a headshot? Well, now I know, they're just headshots. So we did that, and then they gave us a time and date to go to the auditions and to bring our headshots. So we brought them, and at this time they had just opened up the auditions for local. And so of course, there's tons of people there. Um, Once again, I went in with the first group because they were mix and matching um, different people to see, I guess, the sound they wanted or the look they wanted or whatever it was that they were looking for at that time. So I went in at like 9 o'clock in the morning. That was it. I never got called back in. And I was like, "I'm out." So like at 5 o'clock, they go, and you come back in. Really? And in the movie business, I found that it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Oh, sure.
Hurry up and wait. So this was basically the same thing too. At 9 o'clock, and you're just sitting there waiting. So there was 3 of us that were picked the first time, as I say, the first time, because after that, somehow or someone mentioned that that it wasn't fair, that it should have been opened nationally, internationally. And so now we were kind of thrown back into the pool of all the new people that they wanted to have come in for auditions. So I was kind of like, well, I guess I'm out. I mean, I made it the first time. I probably won't make it the second time. So once again, now they have tons of people coming in, and again, they're doing the same thing, mixing and matching people. And again, I got called in like first thing in the morning, and that was it. I wasn't called again till 5 o'clock. And the second time they changed people. So the first three of us that got in, I was the only one of the first three that got back in. On the second group is when they had gotten Anakani and my girlfriend, who is my dear friend, and we've been friends ever since, Zoot Suit, Candy Cortez. So that was the second group. And that was the group that did the movie itself. So we, in the movie, we had actually recorded the movie track, and we sang and performed in the movie. In the movie, there were certain shots that we were either in the jail, so what we call the jail scene, or in the dance scene. So we're throughout the movie.
And you're dancing too?
We ourselves were not actually dancing, but we were doing moves. We were doing some steps, like certain moves and stuff like that, but not dancing like the dancers. They were like great dancers. We weren't doing that kind of dancing.
So, wasn't what you were auditioning for was to be one of the Pachucas? Wasn't that it?
Correct. Yeah, there was three Pachucas that were supposed to be with Edward James Olmos. He was the
El Pachuco.
El Pachuco.
Now, you probably were never a Pachuca in real life.
No, I wasn't. My mom and my
Really?
dad, yes, your dad.
Oh.
But so we were his backup singer, so to speak, or his backup. We were Eddie's. I'm assuming he was the conscious, right?
Right.
And we were his little consciences. So
Yeah, he was kind of like a ghost. He wasn't a real person. It was
yeah,
a great thing.
it
It was
was
very Shakespearean.
yes, yes.
Wow. Great movie, great play. Luis Valdez.
And it's amazing that, even throughout the years, my great nephews now in school, I guess this has been to where it has been incorporated into Chicano studies.
Sure.
And my great nephews had to study the Zoot Suit, and they bring in the Zoot Suit movie. And so my great nephew did not know that I was in the Zoot Suit movie.
Oh, wow.
And so when he saw it, he was like, oh, he calls me Tia though. He goes, Tia, you are in the movie? He goes, when I saw it, I started telling everybody, that's my Tia. And they were not believing it was you. And so it's kind of, I mean, I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to be part of that, because it has become part of Chicano history.
Sure.
And so I'm very fortunate and blessed that I'm part of that.
I'm gonna have to see it again now that I know you're in it. I gotta check it
Oh my
out.
gosh, it's funny. And it's like when you record or at least for me, I don't like my voice.
Nobody
When
does.
I don't think, yeah, I think we're all so critical of our own
Well, you know what it's
sound.
like? I remember the first time I heard my voice when I was a little kid on a tape recorder, because it doesn't sound like me. Like how we sound in our own head is not how we sound to the.
Yes, yes.
But John Lennon hated his voice, James Taylor, so many really great singers that we love, they hate their voice, because it's
Yes, we're
them.
very
It's
critical of
them.
our voices.
It's
Yes,
your
and
own
so the
voice.
same thing with the movie. I was like, don't see it, don't see it.
Oh my God. So that must have been a hell of an experience. And where was it filmed? I know it was
It was filmed
Universal
at the show. What was
in
that
a
show?
theater.
Yeah, yes, the theater.
Was it at the Aquarius?
Aquarius. There you go. It was at the Aquarius Theater. Yeah, so we'd have to go over there, be there at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
But anyway, um, rather than make a movie like with street scenes and stuff, they just filmed the play in a way. The
Yes,
movie was like the play being filmed.
yes, at the Aquarius. So they filmed it there. You know, being exposed to it was good. But again, like I said, I always imagined movies to be made completely different. You know, I just thought, oh yeah, they make this scene, they go to the next. No, it's like hurry up, get there
Sit
5 o'clock,
around.
get your makeup, and hurry, get it. Oh no, wait a minute, sit down. Like 4 hours later, oh, okay, it's time for your scene.
Exactly.
Really?
So what was it like working with Eddie? Did you guys get along well?
Oh, Eddie was very, very, very pleasant, you know, very nice. And then, like I said, he actually sang in the recordings, and I was not aware that he could really sing, and he was a very
Oh
good
yeah.
singer,
I used to
you
be in a
know.
band in the 60s, Pacific
Yeah,
Ocean,
yeah,
Eddie James in the Pacific Ocean. But he also sang Mighty Wanna Boogie in the movie.
yes,
One song he did sing
yes.
in the movie.
He's he sang it, and then I think on the tracks, and I could be mistaken. I know that when we recorded, Eddie actually had recorded the voices, and then later, Daniel Valdez went in there and re-recorded some of the vocals. So Eddie's on some of the vocals, I think, and then Daniel is on the other ones.
So I'm assuming, I don't know if you know, but I mean, Eddie was probably not too happy that that happened.
I'm sure he wasn't,
Yeah, I
you
got some
know.
other stories I won't tell here, but
Yes.
some other slight grievances, including my dad's stuff. However, um, so then you had an encounter with my dad a year or two later. Talk about that.
Yes. There was again through Hector Gonzalez, you know, from Eastside Connection had called me up and he says, "Hey, Bertha, we're putting on this show, which was going to be at East LA College." And I again don't recall what exactly the function was, but there were going to be various bands and different artists. And so Hector was speaking with your dad, and they wanted this particular tune, which was very old school, old tune, which was called "I'll Be Seeing You." And your dad wanted me to sing that tune. So I actually rehearsed with your dad that tune. And so then we did it at the show. But I was so like, I felt like nervous because I was with your dad. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I got to get it right. That kind of thing. So we did that tune, and your dad was there backstage and everything. It was great. I'd had so many different um, opportunities to sing different styles, different songs, and I just love that I've been able to do that. You know.
And earlier you kind of referred to my dad when we were talking before this. He was a character, right?
Oh my gosh, he was a character. He would always be joking. He could have been a comedian.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, he was he was always trying to make you real comfortable. You know, he was trying to, oh, it's okay, you know, don't get nervous. And I'd be like, all uptight. No.
That's great. And then you worked with my brother. We might as well talk about that. I mean, in
Yes.
sequence, but
Then
sometimes in the 90s,
90s, yeah, because we
Navidad,
did
Navidad en las Américas.
Navidad de las Americas, and that came on TV also. And that was fun because it was Tito Puente, Celia Cruz, Cheyenne, Ricky Martin. I can't recall who else, but then your brother, and then we had a big, because it was a Christmas thing. We had a big choir, like a big choir orchestra type thing, and so that's where I was at. I was part of
Was
the
was
choir.
uh, was Jerry Gonzalez in the choir too?
Jerry Gonzalez, and I can't remember what there was like. There was quite a few of us. I mean, that choir was pretty big, but um, again, it was fun. And your brother was the one that was kind of like directing that whole thing.
Yeah, he was a producer, and it was great. And it was shot in Disneyland in front of the castle.
Yes,
And I was there. I
yes,
saw the show. It was
yes.
incredible. And an album came out with it.
Yeah, I wish I could get a copy of that. I've tried to
I
find
can
it.
make you one. I have a
Really? Yeah, I would
CD.
love to get a copy of that because I had seen it um when it first came out, and then I had seen it one other time, but I never actually got a copy. And I thought, man, I wish I can get a copy of that.
I think I have the DVD too of the actual
Yeah, yeah,
video. I
yeah. If I
should,
can get it, great. That would be
okay.
great.
Um, so now let's get to Chico. Now you joined Chico. When was that?
Joined Chico in December of 1997.
And you've been
Yeah,
playing with them since.
1997. Yeah, in between that time, um, well, I was like being mama.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. You,
Yeah.
at what point you kind of left the business? You got married. You went moved to San Jose.
Yes,
Was that?
this was right after Zoot Suit. So Zoot Suit,
Oh, really?
we had recorded, we had filmed Zoot Suit like October, the last like October through December, right around there was the end of the year, because in the beginning of the year is when they had released it.
So we're talking about 1980, 81.
1980. Yeah, it was 1980 and it was released in 1981. Um, and so 81, so right around that time, when they released it, I was still here in LA because they were having us do some of the like do some little spot show type things to promote the movie. So the Pachucas would be there singing some of the tracks, and so right after that, so it had to be early '81. Um, when we were still filming. That's like when I got married, and then so we were finishing that. And as a matter of fact, just to throw this in there, my husband had come to see us filming a Zoot Suit, and right at that time, I recall that we were sitting behind Luis Valdez, and my husband was a musician and also very creative and very opinionated. So we were sitting behind Luis, and my husband was there, and he said, "You know, I'm glad that you're doing this movie, Zoot Suit." He goes, "But don't you think it would be better if you did a more positive side of Chicanos? You know, show us in a positive view." And it just so happened that there was an article of Richie Valens that day. And my husband had it, and he showed Luis, and he goes, "Here." He goes, "You
Oh,
should do a movie on this guy,"
wow.
you know? And Luis was kind of like, I mean, he was busy. He was like listening, but kind of like not listening. But I'll never forget that. And then 10 years later, he did it. I was like, good, he heard,
Yeah.
So I was really glad that he did that.
You mentioned about the positive light. Now Zoot Suit, actually, it wasn't really that negative unless you want to just say that some of the Pachuco culture had some negative things. However, in this movie, these people were railroaded, right? They were
Yes,
charged with
absolutely.
murder and they were
Yeah.
innocent. So this
Yeah.
is not
I mean,
negative.
they made the Chicanos or the Zoot Suiters look horrible. They railroaded them.
Yeah, well, the newspapers were printing all these horrible things about them, the ancestors of
Yes,
the bloody
like we were,
The
yes,
Aztecs and all this shit.
yes, we are so terrible,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
yeah.
good. I'm glad you fixed that. Um, I don't know why my picture is a little dark. It's usually not this dark, but it's all right. Um, so you got married and you moved to San Jose and you started a family. So you were away from music for a while, and this was your mommy period, right?
Yes, yes.
About 12
So,
years.
so yeah, for almost 12 years.
So talk
So
about
after
that.
that, we had moved from San Jose uh, back over to LA. Um, and so when I moved back, I intentionally did not want anybody to know that I was back because I thought they're going to start calling me, and my kids are
Bugging
still
you.
small. I knew they would say, "Hey, come and do," and I was kind of like, "No, I don't want them to know I'm back yet." So somehow, I don't know somebody said something. Um, and so then they were like, "Oh, you're back." But it was good because then Joe called me. That's from Chico. And the intent initially was that I was going to sub for their present vocalist. Now, I think I had mentioned to you that Jerry Gonzalez was in Chico, and I believe it was maybe 10 years. And Isela Sotelo was kind of, I think, in and out, or she would come sub, I'm not sure. Then that's when Angelica came in. Like I said, I don't recall Angelica's last name. I just know that she was Ray Stenagmo. Oh my, I'm sure I'm pronouncing this name incorrectly, but he's an absolutely great guitar player. They were married, and so she decided that she was trying to conceive. So she didn't want to be out, singing too much. And so I was supposed to just replace her or sub for her maybe twice a month. Well, that was like over with real quick. So then I came in and I started subbing for her. And then she was kind of like, okay, I'm out. I'm like, okay. So then Joe goes, well, do you want to, take the gig? So I'm like, well, yeah, okay. My kids are big enough. I can bring them with me, or, make sure they're okay, or, they're at the point where I can communicate with them and make sure they're fine. So that's how it started. And I've been with Chico ever since.
I think
So that's been what, 38 years?
8 years. I think
Yeah.
we figured that out. Amazing. I saw you guys sing recently. I was at that Garfield 50th anniversary event. You guys were playing a few weeks ago.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and then I heard you the other night a little bit. You were playing out here in Indio,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
came out. I heard the last song.
Yeah,
got to talk to you guys.
we were all jazzed, myself and Martin, the drummer. We stayed, we ended up staying. The TV station over there at La Quinta, I guess they had filmed us. So we actually came out on the local news over there.
Oh, wow. So talk about when you got to record with Juan Gabriel.
Oh, that was interesting. Oh, we had recorded my husband's album. The album was called New Day on the Rise. My husband, by the way, was an absolutely incredible vocalist, aside from musician, all around musician. But in the studio, I met this musical director by the name of Arturo Salas. And he was working primarily with the Spanish market.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew I could sing English or Spanish. And so he would get these calls to do concerts for Jose Jose, Napoleon, I forgot who else. El Tigre, El Puma.
Oh,
El
yeah.
Puma, yeah.
My mom used to
So
love him.
all those, they would put those shows together over at the Shrine. And so Arturo was the musical director. He would do, get the music together. And so he would call me and say, hey, I need background vocals. So he would call me all the time, and these other two guys. And it was really interesting because, I'm glad that he thought that we were such professionals that we could learn this whole show in 2 hours from a tape. Because that's exactly the way he would just give it to him. Here, listen to it. We're like, what? He goes, just listen to the backgrounds. That's what you guys are going to do. Okay. So yeah, we would do it. We would get through it.
You're saying your mom didn't know, or you didn't know.
Oh, so this was the shows we were doing, and so because of that connection, I got a call to do background vocals for Juan Gabriel, because he was going to be doing an album, and he was coming to. There was a recording studio across from Universal Studios. I remember it was out there. But I had to call my mom and say, Mom, who's Juan Gabriel? And she went crazy. My mom just went totally crazy. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who is this? She goes, you don't know who Juan Gabriel is? I'm like, no, Mom, I don't. She goes, oh my gosh, Mia, where have you been? I don't know who it is, but it's a Spanish market. So for me, I mean, I other than when we were young and be listening to Edie Gourmet and Trio Los Panchos, I didn't really listen to, you know, Spanish artists. And so I didn't realize that Juan Gabriel was really a very, like, really, really, really well known Mexican artist. And so again, I called in to do his Noa Noa album. So myself and two other guys, we did all the background vocals for that album. But did we get credit? Did our name come on there? No. But you can hear our voices.
You were there.
We were there.
I should also mention that you sang quite a bit with El Chicano for a while, didn't you?
Oh,
In the
that's
90s?
yeah. See, all these people. You're right. Yeah, I was very, very fortunate and very blessed that Fred called and he said, "Hey, you want to come and sing with us for a couple?" So I did a couple of gigs with them at the we did the Forum. We did oh my gosh, what's the other place?
Gibson Amphitheater.
There you go, the Gibson
I
Amphitheater.
saw you there, and
Yeah.
you were great.
So
You sang
again,
Savora Me, of course.
of course,
And
of course.
what's that thing about a woman? I'm a woman, or what is it called?
Oh yeah, I'm a good woman.
Oh my God, that's a bluesy thing. You sing the shit out of that.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't think I haven't sang that song in forever. But yes, Mickey always cracks me up because when I see Mickey, he's like, "Hey, let's do I'm a good woman."
Now, how many times would you say you played with them?
I'm gonna say at least maybe 5 times.
Yeah, this looks better. Oh my God.
Yeah, now it's bright.
Okay. Yeah, so I did see you with El Chicano one time. I think it was at the Gibson Amphitheater, and I remember you singing those songs, and it blew my mind. And actually, I sang with you. Let's talk about that at the Gibson with the El Chicano.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So this was around 2007. My high school, Garfield High School, the auditorium burned down. And so this was like a fundraiser to raise money to rebuild the auditorium. So they did a concert at the Gibson Amphitheater with Los Lobos, El Chicano, Little Willie G, Little Joey La Familia. And Fred Sanchez asked me to come and sing background with you guys because he knew I went to Garfield. And so what was funny is it was me, you, and what was the other girl's name? I think she was dating Bobby Espinosa at the time.
Oh, D'Angelo.
Yes. Forgot her first name.
Rosie? No.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just remember her last name was D'Angelo.
Well, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And so when it was funny because, I'm used to playing guitar and whatever, but here I was, me and two girls, as the Pips, singing backgrounds. And it was fun. I liked it. It was fun. I was happy to be part of the show, and there was like 6,000 people there.
Yes.
It was great. And so I sang background with you guys. And then I was in the finale with Los Lobos, and it was like La Bamba. It was a medley with Good Lovin'. And the lights went on, and people were yelling. It was a great, great, great
Yeah,
experience.
it was fun.
But yeah, so we were in a little trio together there.
Yes.
I was even moving with you guys. I had to like move.
Yeah, we had to do those little steps.
Yeah, man. So I don't mind. As long as I'm on stage, I don't care. I could be sweeping up there. I don't care. As long as I'm in the music, doing some music. Oh, and another thing, I heard you sing I'm a Good Woman and Savora Me another place, and that was with the East LA Review Band.
Yes.
So you're
When
bringing
was
back your
that?
memories.
Yes. What year was that?
We're talking maybe early 2000s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were playing at a park.
Benelli Park.
Yeah, Benelli Park. Is that where San Dimas, somewhere out that way?
Yes. Yes.
And I went there, and it was really cool. It was Stephen Chavez had put together this band. He's not a musician. He was a fan, and he put together a band called the East LA Review Band, made up of former East LA musicians, the drummer from the Jaguars and the bass player from the Jaguars and
Yes.
musicians from bands of the 60s. And he wanted to keep alive in the early 2000s that early East Side sound. And the premieres were there.
Yes.
John and Lawrence Perez and Mickey Lesperano was there. And then
Yes.
he sat in and you were singing. And I heard you sing those songs again.
Yes.
So yeah, so I've seen you a couple of times, and that's why I know you can sing. Plus, lately I've been seeing a lot of your Chico videos have come up
Oh,
on the internet. I mean, I know, are you aware how many videos are up there?
no,
Yeah,
not really.
there's a ton of them from different gigs over the years, and you're singing your butt off in every one of them. And in several of them, your daughter's with you, right?
Yes, my
Talk
daughter
about that.
Vanessa. When once going back when I first got with Chico and my daughter started to come with me to the gigs, I would ask her at that time because I wasn't sure if she was going to be a musician. At that age, she was kind of like, so I would tell her, "You want to go to the gigs?" You want to say, "Yeah." And then one point, I asked her, Do you want me to put a band together for you?" No, 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 no. Okay. So, of course, as the years went by, well, she was with me in Chico. She would come with me, and then so she started singing with me. So we would start doing like songs like "Mi Tierra," where we're doing the harmonies. We started doing Carnaval harmonies, so she was, now starting to sing in a band with my band. So it so happened that I got a call from Bruce Soto, um,
From the group Soto, right?
from the group Soto, and his vocalist, I guess, couldn't make it or was ill. Something came up, and so he was calling, of course, all female vocalists. And at that time, he couldn't find anybody. And I told him, like, I said, look, my daughter sings. I go, but she's never really sang in a band aside from working with me. I go, but she can sing. I go, so I don't know. I mean, he goes, I'll take her. I'm desperate. I mean, I need somebody. I'm like, okay. I said, but be nice to her. I said, because she's, it's not like she's been in the band with us. And so I told my daughter, I said, hey, I got you a gig. I go, but you're going to have to go to Sacramento because they were playing up at Sacramento, the casino, Little Joe and La Familia. And so she's like, okay, well, that was it. She came back and she got the bugs. I'm
Mm,
like, oh no.
she's good too.
Yeah, so after that, my daughter really just fell in love with music and began to sing in bands. And at this point now, she has her own band, which is
Mm,
called Tease. And it is my daughter and my son-in-law, Edgar Salas. He plays bass. Um, so now they have their group, you know, and of course, she's like Mama. She had to get into another field of education. So
good.
she's got her master's and her doctorates and I don't know whatever else she's
Wow.
going through for psychology.
Nice.
So she's, yeah,
She sings well. The videos I saw, she's in step with you dancing and singing perfect harmony. It's great.
I love working with my daughter, especially because we could dance together.
Now, how often does she play with you and Chico?
Not very often anymore because her own band
Mm,
does so much, Um, she's a very savvy businesswoman. So she books the bands and she books the gigs and she sets everything up and so she's they're like the leaders of the band.
cool. Yeah, I should mention the lighting situation. I don't know at what point my bulb went out up here. You said it was brighter earlier and it got dark.
Yes.
And then so I did most of the interview in the dark and I'd look over here and say, why am I in the dark? And I look up and it looked like all the lights were okay. But we took a little break and I went up there and noticed that one of the bulbs went out over my head. So I
Uh,
replaced it with a bulb that's not as bright as the second one, but at least I'm brighter for the end. But, I don't really care because you're in the light all the time and interview is about you. So it doesn't matter if I'm in the dark. So I don't care. So I think we covered everything, right? I can't think of
yeah, I think
anything.
so. I think so.
Yeah. So Thank you for doing it. It took a while to capture you. At first, when I contacted you, you had some kind of eye surgery or
Yeah, I had
lenses.
just had my cataract surgery
Yeah.
done.
I just found out I got some too, but they're not at the point where they need to be taken out, but it's starting.
Yeah, no, mine was getting to the point where, driving from whatever gig up the hill, um, began to get a little scary because it was becoming difficult for me to gauge the distance of the cars. And I was like, oh no, this is like not safe.
Yeah, right. So we waited to do this so you wouldn't be doing the interview with an eye patch and look like a pirate.
Yes.
So, arg, arg.
Bar, bar.
But anyway, thank you very much. Beautiful job. And like I said, you're one of the best singers to come out of East LA ever. And you're
Thank
fantastic.
you. Appreciate that. And I thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
There you go.
We got to do
Okay.
one for you. When are we going to do you?
I've been thinking about it, like who would
We have to
interview
turn it
me?
around now.
Yeah,
You
huh?
know, we have to turn it around now
I
and get
know.
yours.
I got to find the perfect person to do it. But yeah, one of these days I'll do me. In the
Just don't wait too
meantime,
long.
no, I know.
Time's a flying
A
here.
lot
We
of
have
us are
to
dying off.
take every opportunity we can.
That's true. Well, anyway, well, I look forward to seeing you next time, and hopefully we'll sing together again sometime.
Yes, I hope so.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.